Hello, I'm Stephen, and I'm 16 years old. I'd like to share my story with you. It all began when I was a young boy, 10 years old. In the 4th grade, living in a small village in a remote area with my parents. My father worked as a supervisor at a factory in the nearest city. One day, my father came home looking troubled. He and my mother went into their room to talk, and I overheard them discussing a promotion my father had received. However, the promotion meant we would have to move to a large, faraway city. As a child, full of innocence, they didn't realize I was listening in. I was incredibly excited, dreaming of tall buildings, clean, paved streets, and the adventure of living in a big city. But I didn't realize at the time how this decision would completely change my life. We moved to the city, and it indeed dazzled me. Soon it was time for my first day at my new school, a day that was overwhelming for me. As a child who had never seen such things before, I was amazed by the big, clean buildings, the beautiful, colorful classrooms, and the well-organized spaces. At school, I met many people, teachers and students alike. It was one of the strangest and most unforgettable days of my life. I started making new friends, but, as is often the case when someone is new, I faced a lot of indifference and found it challenging to form friendships. One point I hadn't mentioned earlier is that I was very successful in my old school, because there wasn't much to do other than study. I managed to maintain my high grades in my new school as well, partly because I still didn't have many friends and there wasn't much else to do at that age. My first year at the new school ended with the usual academic success, but then I encountered my first setback in life. Like anyone successful, I attracted the attention of those who didn't have my best interests at heart. These so-called friends started to gather around me. My loyal friends warned me about them, but I didn't pay attention. When the results for the following year came out, I was hit with a shock. My grades were terrible. That's when my family began to take notice. They sat down with me to figure out the problem and help me solve it. My good friends came to my house to support me. I started distancing myself from the negative influences and distractions in my life to focus on my studies. The teachers began to appreciate me more because I was diligent, organized, and well-behaved. I also began to adapt to city life. Finally, the much-anticipated day arrived, the day the results would determine whether I would move on to middle school. Everyone was on edge, my mother, myself, and even my father, who was anxiously awaiting a phone call at work with the news. But as if life wanted to teach me patience, the results were delayed. My father even returned home from work, surprised that no one had called him. When the results were finally posted, they were listed alphabetically and in batches. I had to wait again because my name wasn't in the first batch. After what felt like years, the second batch was posted, and there it was, my name at the top of the list. I read the words I had been hoping for, passed and promoted to the first year of middle school. From that moment on, I learned that not everyone I meet will have good intentions. I continued to follow the same pattern, moving from one grade to the next with high marks. And that's my story. But now, it's time to say goodbye because it's time to study. Take care and see you.